Today, I want to explain why it's important to decide how you're going to organize your money. You decide what you want and where you're going to keep it. So if you know that you have 4 or 5 accounts, when I say accounts, I'm not only meaning bank accounts. You also include the unit trusts. As you enter 2025, be very intentional about which accounts you have and what they are for. Like everything else, this is not set in stone. Things will change. You will learn some things about yourself. You feel like this doesn't work for me. Hi, welcome to the Personal Finance and Coffee Podcast. And on this channel, we talk about how do you manage the money that you're making? How do you manage it so that you're able to attain your goals? Let's break the cycle of 5 years later, 10 years later, you've made the money, but you don't feel like you've done anything. Let us manage it in a way that we can accomplish the goals that we've set and attain the life that we want. This is what we talk about on this channel. If you find this interesting, please like this episode, please subscribe so that you don't miss upcoming episodes. Now, we are having a series as we enter 2025. We're having a series where if you feel like I want to manage my money better, I want to do things differently, we're going through step by step the actions that you can take. I'll leave a link to the playlist of the episodes that we have already gone through. And today's episode, we're going to look at deciding how you're going to organize your money. I have an episode that I've already made about this, about the different accounts that you can have so that you can organize the money. I'll have it on the screen. But today I want to explain why it's important to decide how you're going to organize your money. Because there's so many places you can put it. You can have it on your phone, you can have it on different bank accounts, you can have it on personal accounts, on company accounts, you can have it in a unit trust, you can have it in different places. So the question is, how do you decide where to put which money and what the money is for? Because you can find yourself, you have 3 different accounts and then you have a unit trust, and none of these places where you keep the money has a purpose, has an intention. So as you enter 2025, first of all, write the different places where you put your money. And the next thing you're going to do is decide, do I still need all these accounts or do I want to leave some dormant? You can have accounts for your day-to-day expenses. Those are current accounts, short-term, like day-to-day living. And then you will have accounts for like medium-term goals, and then you can have one for long-term goals. Let me explain. When it comes to short-term, let me explain this in the context of what works for me. When I look at my short-term, first of all, I have the cash that I have, and then I have my current account that I use for day-to-day transactions. Once in a while I have mobile money, but really right now it's not a primary place where I keep my money. So I know that in terms of like day-to-day living, these are the places I will have my money. Then I have my mid-term, like medium-term. When I say mid-term goals or short-term goals, I'm referring to perhaps school fees is coming in the next 4 months or the next 3 months. So where are you going to have this money? And then you find that maybe you're saving up money for a medical bill. Where are you putting this money? Money that you expect to use maybe in the next 6 months or in the next one, like it's relatively short term. It's not long term. This is where I would put it. Then, so you can, for when it comes to that, I have a unit trust, but I also use binders. I have binders where I also do that, budget binders, where I do that for a few of them. So when it comes to that, I organize it in 2 places. I have the unit trust and I have that. Then for the long term, this is where if you're working towards maybe buying a car or buying land, or the place where you keep your emergency fund, this is where you have long-term goals. Long-term, I would recommend a unit trust. I have an episode about how unit trusts work. I'll have it linked. And another way you can also organize is in the form of maybe bonds. These bonds can be more of investments, but they also protect your money. They also kind of protect your money. But like I say, this is long-term. So if you have a 2-year bond, it means that ideally you should not get the money for 2 years. But if you need it, however, you can always go and get it. You decide what you want and where you're going to keep it. So if you know that you have 4 or 5 accounts, when I say accounts, I'm not only meaning bank accounts. You also include the unit trusts that you have. So as you enter 2025, be very intentional about which accounts you have and what they are for. Because when you organize your money like this, you also feel like you're making progress. If your goal is to have a car or it's to buy land or to build, you can see the money slowly growing. Or if your goal is to have an emergency fund, you see the money growing because it is separate. And then another thing about organizing it is that when it is separate, it reduces the chances of spending it in the moment. You can be then like, oh, there's plot, and then you find yourself spending the money. So it also reduces the chances of this happening because it is separate. Another advantage when it comes to organizing your money, why it's important, is that as you set your goals for 2025, you can set a goal that I would like this emergency fund to grow to this amount. And if you have a specific unit trust that you have allocated to your emergency fund, you can see it growing. So the next time someone calls you and says, oh, there is plot, the chances when you pick money from that unit trust, you are very aware that you are reducing your emergency fund. And you're also aware that this is slowing down the process of getting towards that goal. Now, when you don't have that awareness, all the money you have feels like it's money for spending. And then suddenly you feel like you're not making progress because the triggers to be intentional are not there. You get what I mean? So that is why it's important to decide, come 2025, this is how I'm going to organize it, and these are the intentions. Like everything else, this is not set in stone. Things will change. You will learn some things about yourself. You feel like this doesn't work for me and this works for me. It's a constant adjusting process. And when it clicks, when you feel like, okay, in this season, this is what works for me, you go with that. That is how I can explain it. So personally, I like having 2 unit trusts, and I have, of course, my wallet. I have 2 bank accounts, personal, and then I also like to have like a budget binder where it kind of works for, if you have medical expenses, you just, to be fairly liquid. That is how it helps. So if you found value in this episode, please like it, please subscribe so that you don't miss upcoming episodes.